Hey, welcome to my podcast. Look, I got the mic situation figured out and I didn't even need an Allen wrench. Listen, let me tell you that when I went to the gym yesterday, if you don't start talking to people, let me say this. I got my list of notes to go over the things that I left hanging in the last podcast. But here's the thing. I go to the gym yesterday, right? Because that's what I was rushing to go do. And if I'm honest, I really need that accountability because to make myself go on a normal situation, like it's just not happening. It's just not. And let me give you like a little backstory about my trainer that I don't know him at all. And I almost like hesitate to talk about the people that I come in contact with just in case, number one, they speak English. And number two, just in case, like even if I put subtitles on the thing, like if they ever were to come across it, that they wouldn't be offended by what I'm saying. I'm just trying to like communicate to the listener, note for myself, whatever the situation is. But I hope that if anybody ever comes across anything and I'm talking about you, unless it's something like that needs to be addressed, that the Lord is going to talk about in his word and how the church is treating people and things like that. But I'm talking about the people who don't know Jesus, who don't have a faith in God or whatever the case. And we have differences in belief. Like whoever comes across my videos, if you're someone that I'm talking about you in this and you happen to be able to understand and you happen to hear it, I just wanted to be super clear that I'm not trying to be offensive. I'm not trying to hurt anyone. I'm just stating what I see, hear, understand, and perceive. Okay. So all that being said, my trainer, I could be very wrong, but I'm pretty sure he's a Satanist. Okay. Let me tell you why I think that. You know how when you save someone's number in your phone, it will kind of like start to suggest them as a friend on social media accounts? I don't know if it's because someone saved me, because he saved me, or because I saved him. I really don't know how all of that works. As you know, I really struggle with technology. And maybe it's not him. Maybe it's a coincidence. Maybe it's a lookalike. I couldn't say for sure. I tried really hard not to snoop too much. But I don't remember if it was on Facebook or TikTok or where it was. But I can tell you that a guy with the same name as my trainer who looks very similar to my trainer, it was on Facebook because the profile was like locked. Like I couldn't, you know, when someone stalks your profile on Facebook, it shows up as a friend suggestion. So by the way, if you're stalking my profile, like I see it, I know it's so annoying. And 9 times out of 10, like I'll block you after that because you can't see anything on my profile anyways. And why are you snooping? Go snoop on my TikTok. Go listen to my YouTube. Like at least go somewhere and be supportive, but not on Facebook. You're not going to get that into my personal life. And anyways, to satisfy your curiosity, I don't literally post anything there hardly ever. Rarely. Because I just don't care. I just don't care. I don't need the public or the world or even people who say they are my friends to be involved in my personal life. I don't like it. I've already made it super clear. I hate this whole talking to the camera, share my experiences situation. So God hasn't told me to do anything with Facebook. So bet your bottom dollar I'm not uploading anything there. So on Facebook, I see this like suggested account. It looks like my trainer. It's the same name as my trainer. And I go click on it because you're obviously snooping on mine, or maybe just because I saved your phone. But I saved your number like a couple weeks ago, so I don't know why it would just now be showing up. Anywho, it doesn't really matter how it came on my page. The thing is that I clicked on it, and you know how you have your profile picture, and then you have like your, what is that other picture? It's like the background picture. It's like the picture that's behind your face on Facebook. And it's definitely a picture of like, I guess, is it Baphomet? I don't know. It's demonic. It's like the thing with the horns and it's doing the as above, so below symbol. Like it's satanic. It's satanic. And that's your background picture on Facebook. Call me crazy, but I don't think he's a Christian. Anywho. One of my first days, I have only been training for like a week and a half at this point, and I've been going pretty much every day. And as much as I hate it, I have prayed to God to give me opportunities to meet people, to know people, and to be able to share his word through casual conversations. Now, I will say one of the coolest things, and I mentioned, and I got my notes, right? So I'm going to go back through, but I mentioned in my last podcast about Corey ten Boom, and I don't remember her whole story. Like I said, I really should have looked it up before starting recording this, but it was a lady who I think she had like blue eyes, or she had brown eyes, and she hated it. She wanted blue eyes or something like that. And anywho, God used her in India in a way that if she had had blue eyes, then she wouldn't have been able to help the Indian people or whatever in like this amazing way, all for like God's purposes. And I referenced in my last podcast that I'm having like a whole identity crisis. I've been having it for quite some time, and it's getting worse where, like I said, I forget that I don't even look like I'm from here. And how I think that the Mexican people are just so beautiful. Like and I don't want to be a güera. The point is this, and I'm not going to right now because there is more to what God has like given me about like this lady, Corey ten Boom. And I mean, it's something that I learned like in elementary, and recently just this year, God has given me understanding that like what in the world, this is bonkers about her story and about my own life. Also, I feel like I'm very tired today. I did not sleep well, so my energy is low. I'm very sorry. I didn't even go dancing, but I really feel that because I look different when I'm in places like this, it does naturally create a new way to have conversations with people, because people are curious. People are like, one, you're not from here. Number two, why do you speak the language? Number three, like, how do you know our culture? Number four, you're here by yourself. What are you doing? This is not normal. Okay. And I get that it's not normal. And the coolest thing about it is that I just really feel that God uses that to be like, even my appearance, to start conversations with people. So all that to say, one of the first days in the gym, if not the first, at some point I brought up the fact that I'm a Christian. Because the thing is, like, being in Mexico and not being from here, but speaking the language, people are confused on what in the world you're doing here. How do you know the language? How do you know the culture? And so automatically people will just like hit you with a bunch of questions. And I'm totally fine because, again, I can talk to a wall. So if someone's interested in my life or why I think the way that I do or whatever, I'm going to talk about it. And so whatever he asked me or made some kind of a comment, and I was like, oh, well, it's because I'm Christian, or I threw in the fact that I'm a Christian, just like passing. And that's another thing. Like, if you're a Christian, you don't have to always be shoving the Romans road down somebody's throat. Like, you don't always have to be like, yeah, I'm a Christian, and if you died today, do you know that you would go to heaven? Like, that's weird. That's weird. Don't be weird. You can be a Christian and also be normal. In fact, we need more normal Christians. And when I say normal, I don't mean not set apart. I don't mean not different. We definitely should be different. We are the light of the world. But also, like, it's okay. Man, it's so crazy because yesterday when I was reading my Bible and I mentioned like God was giving me all these verses about like stop being slothful, stop being procrastinator, stop being this, that, and the other. And one of the verses that I read also, it just happened to catch my eye, was about how it was like a note in my Bible, and I couldn't even tell you where it was at, but it was basically about, I had written a note in line with a verse. And what I had gathered and understood from that verse was like, it's okay to get to know people. It's okay to know people before you share the gospel and like slowly share it with them over time, right? Which that should be obvious to most people. But I do think that in the Christian world, we've become like extremists, unfortunately, where it's like we feel like we have one opportunity and we have to get it out right then and there. And what we end up doing is turning a lot of people away because, no offense, like if it was any other religion and someone shoving their religion down my throat, like, no offense, you're not going to convert me on one conversation. In fact, like, I didn't even know you. So like, good for you and your beliefs and your thoughts, but that's not for me. And I think a lot of times, and on the other side, we will know people and we can build relationships with them. And for fear of breaking that relationship or making something happen where that relationship no longer functions, then we can almost, instead of sabotaging with giving the spiel about the Bible a little too quick, we go the opposite route. And then we're now friends with someone for months or even years. And we never really mention anything more than the fact that we're a Christian, or, oh, I go to church, or, oh, maybe talking about your day-to-day life, but not being bold enough in our faith to share our faith with someone else. Anywho, it is a hard balance, and I totally get it because I struggle with it myself. But it was crazy because literally yesterday, before recording the podcast, that was one of the verses that stood out to me. Now, going back to my trainer and like the first day that I'm with, like, speaking to him, I remember mentioning that I was a Christian. And after I did it, I remember leaving and thinking like, oh my goodness, was that too early? Like, was it too soon? You know what? God uses even your stupidity. I have learned that, like, you cannot mess up. Like, if God is going to use a seed that you planted wrong, it's totally fine. Like, God can still use it. Stop overthinking it. We have to remember too that the power of God comes from God. It's not what we do. He needs our obedience. He needs our faithfulness, but the power is not coming from us. The change does not come from with us. The change comes from the Holy Spirit speaking to that person. And yes, we have the Holy Spirit within us, but the Holy Spirit with that person is a totally different relationship walk. Like, that's a personal thing with that person. So we have to stop putting so much weight on ourselves. Like, if we messed up, did we say the right thing? Did we do it in the right timing? Because that's really not what it's about. God can use anything. He even used a donkey in the Bible to get his message across. So how much more can he use us if we're walking in faith and we're doing it with love and we're being compassionate and we're producing the fruits of the Spirit and we're doing our best to serve God in the way that we know how? God's going to use it. Whew, that was an encouragement for me right there. But anywho, so I'm thinking back about this time and I'm like, yesterday I rushed to the gym, right? The crazy thing when I got to the gym, and of course there's like small talk in between like sets or reps or whatever. Also, I'm just dying while I'm there. So sometimes I'll like extend a little break with a little chit chat. Like, if he asks me a question, first of all, I'm obviously a yapper, but also sometimes I need like a break. It was really interesting that I read that verse just yesterday, almost like a reminder. Because when I got to the gym yesterday, I don't remember how it came up, but something came up about how I lived in Brazil. And he asked me, like, what did you go to Brazil for? And if I'm honest with you, I shamefully and almost like embarrassingly hid the fact that I went as a missionary. Be it subconscious that like just a couple days ago is when I saw his Facebook where I was like, is this man a Satanist? Now, I'm not intimidated and I'm not afraid, but it does make one overthink the things that you say out loud to a person because you don't want to be pushy and you don't want to be overbearing and you don't know what their beliefs are. So you don't want to mess anything up. That's why I say, like, whatever I just said, really, if it wasn't for you, it was for me, because God can use anything and we don't need to be overthinking. We need to just be ourselves. And that is something else that God is really teaching me. Just be yourself 100%. And it's really hard because it comes with a lot of rejection when you're yourself. Like, people, in my case, people think that I'm too much. People think that I talk too much. People think that I'm too intense. People think that I'm too opinionated. People think that I'm too, like, whatever, too much of whatever word. And if I'm honest with you, that's a whole nother podcast in itself. I'll make a note and come back to it because it's one that I think I recorded already. Like, back in October, I felt like God was really, really pushing me hard to be myself, and still is. And now I'm at the point of like, okay, I understand that I need to be myself. And now it's just a point of like doing it. Now it's just a point of like putting it out there because I've been so long suppressing myself. And I'll give you an example too. Like, a lot of times, sometimes I'm so much myself that people have asked me if I'm intoxicated. And honestly, I don't want to say it's offensive. Like, thank you, I guess. Maybe it's a compliment. Like, me being my normal self, I'm so outgoing and happy. And the only way that I can describe it to you is the actual joy of the Lord. I mean, I'm talking about, and I will never stop talking about it because it is such a big pivotal moment in my life. How do you go from being literally suicidal to the point of not wanting to be here? I had an encounter with God to now the point where I'm so open and happy and bubbly. People have always said my entire life that I have a bubbly personality, but I think God has taken it like next level through the joy of the Lord. That's something that only comes from him, to the point where people now think that I'm intoxicated. Like, you think that I'm drinking because of how happy I am? Like, thank you. Actually, let me tell you a secret, and it doesn't involve a hangover. It's Jesus. You can have him all day, every day, morning, noon, and night, 24/7. Like, you don't, and it's free. You don't have to spend. Alcohol is so expensive. Thank goodness I don't like to drink. And let me just say, that was another thing that I didn't write it down, but I did want to clarify my last podcast. I said that I don't drink because I don't like it. There's several reasons that I don't drink. First and foremost, I don't like it. It's disgusting. It's expensive. You're talking like sometimes $8, $9, $15 for one drink. That literally, no, like, for so many reasons, no. But also there are other things, like avoid the appearance of evil. I need to tell you the story about this one time that God used, like, I don't know if he's not saved, or I made a video about it. I'll come back to it in the next episode if I don't circle back now, about how God used like someone who isn't walking with God, Christian or not, I'm not sure, to basically convict me of the appearance of evil. And I was like, okay, God, understood completely. So, and that was very recent. But since October, I feel like God has really been pushing me to be 100% myself. And that's really hard to do. And in October as well, I felt like, there are things that we can tell ourselves to make ourselves almost feel better. Like, there's a lot of things that the world tells us to, like, oh, I'm not too much, you're not enough. Kinda. And honestly, back in October, when I felt like God was giving me that to be 100% myself, I felt that same way. Like, okay, I am no longer the problem. If I'm too much for you, then maybe you're not enough for me. But I don't think that this is necessarily the right attitude. I think, especially as a Christian, you see, I knew it was short-lived. Okay, but I made an adjustment. I think this whole thing is just like a balancing act somehow. I'm still falling. Hang on. But I think what really happens is, especially if you're a Christian, is that God gave you a personality, however it be, to make people almost intrigued. That's the thing I think God is teaching me. Like, he wants me to be 100% myself, not to make people feel like they're not enough to match my energy. That's what the world teaches us. But for a way for me to be able to say, like, this crazy positive energy that I'm radiating is because I am connected directly to the source of energy, who is the God of the Bible. And you too, you might not have my personality. You might not be over the top excited about everything that you see, or your personality is still going to be yours, but it's that intensity and the fullness of life that truly, genuinely, it only comes from God. And so I think that that's maybe why God is pushing me to be 100% myself, because it literally does confuse people. People don't understand it. And it's so interesting because since October, so many people have told me, like, I like your vibe. Like, I like your vibe, like your energy, and sometimes it's the moment to say, and sometimes it's not the moment to say. Sometimes it's later, the moment to say. Like, yeah, it's partially me, but it's really just God and the connection that I have with him, and how no matter what I'm going through, no matter how difficult circumstances are, like, there is a joy that is inexplicable in the world. That sound, if you can hear it, it's literally some man just like pushing a food cart. I love it. I love it here. They have like little bicycles, and they'll just sell coffee. Like, they just ride up and down the street, and it's like hot water and instant coffee, but you could just like buy it for a few pesos. It's delicious. Or you could buy like eggs and sandwich and ham and coffee for breakfast. And they sell tacos at like 10 o'clock in the morning, which I heard is earlier, but I wouldn't know about that. Anywho, let me go back to my trainer. So it's crazy that in all the verses about avoiding procrastination and all that stuff that God was really speaking to me, the first thing that I saw yesterday was the verse about how it's okay to get to know people. Basically, it's okay to get to know people. It's important to get to know people before you start like sharing your faith. Let me tell you, I don't know if this man is a Satanist. I don't know what he believes. He's not told me, and I haven't directly asked him, but I can tell you that almost every day in our conversation, he will ask me questions. And it's about my life or about my experiences or why I'm here, how I like Mexico or what I've been doing, blah, 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 small talk. But there are certain days where the conversation is a little bit heavier on Jesus, maybe, but indirectly. For example, yesterday, I saw that verse. I recorded the podcast. I rushed to the gym and almost like and some days he's a little more talkative than others, but almost immediately he's asking me like, oh, what did I do in Brazil? I shamefully, and almost immediately after, I was like, God, I'm so sorry, because I felt like Peter in a way in that moment. Like I had almost denied God. He asked me what I was doing in Brazil. I went to Brazil as a missionary. I literally put myself on a shipping container. I moved overseas with the purpose of helping a church plant. Like I was going to help with this church that was starting. I ended up not doing that. I ended up working with people who are addicted to crack cocaine in the streets. That's a thing. If you should Google Crackolandia. That's the gringo way of pronouncing it, but it's literally called Crackolandia. That's what the Brazilians call it, and it's in Sao Paulo, and you can find probably older videos about it, but it ain't a great place. I mean, you can literally go 24/7, and people are just straight up smoking rock and shooting up crack cocaine in the middle of the street all hours of the day. It's like 2-3 blocks, maybe one. I don't know. It's a huge space. It's like 500 people or more. I mean, it's hundreds and hundreds of people. Sadly, it's children as well. Like it's a very, very sad, dark place. And that's where I ended up basically working. So when the guy, my trainer, asked me what I was doing in Brazil, I said I went to help people. What an idiot. What a freaking idiot I am. God has given me an opportunity to not only like take care of my body and health and strength, but also has given me an opportunity to have a conversation with someone that I have no idea about their spiritual beliefs, has given me insight that they may actually be a Satanist, is giving me an opportunity to speak to this man literally 5 days a week, is giving me opportunity for this man to be intrigued about my life experiences and ask me about them. Because it's interesting, when there are other people there, he's not making small talk with them. He's not asking them about their life. And this man is asking me he knows I'm a Christian already. Why am I hiding that I was a missionary? Anywho, I had like a whole Peter moment. And as soon as I said it, I was like, oh my gosh, Lord, I'm so sorry. Because it really was an opportunity to be able to talk more. And then I started praying. I was like, God, give me the words to say, because I don't know what to say. And I don't want to overthink, because I'm an overthinker. I don't want to be afraid to misspeak for you. I don't want to be afraid of our differences and beliefs. Just give me the words to say. And would you believe it? Not too much longer, he brought up conversation and gave me another opportunity. And that was a moment where I was able to say, actually, I went as a missionary, blah, 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 blah. And I explained like a little bit more what I was doing there. I do some more reps, blah, blah, blah. I'm working out. I'm currently freaking dying. And later, same day, and not too much later, he's like, so what actually is a missionary anyways? I'm sorry, what? Oh, we're continuing this conversation about God and faith and what I was doing. Okay. God, this is why I say we gotta stop overthinking the stupid things that we say or the things that we mess up on, because God is the one who didn't only create the universe. He gives us eternal life through salvation that we cannot even comprehend and wrap our brains around how that process works. Like, yeah, we know he died on the cross to pay for our sins and blah, blah, blah. Have you ever really thought about that? You can't fathom the spiritual process of what that is in the spiritual realm. Like, we can put it to words. We can say we can understand all day long, but at the end of the day, we don't really understand that concept. I'm sorry. God is so powerful, and we think that we have any control over what effect our words have. God can use anything. And here's this man asking me what is a missionary. Like, so anywho, Again, little by little, this is why I say you don't have to shove the Romans road down anybody's throat. You don't have to tell them every detail of your life all at one time, like little by little. It's so crazy too, because when I was there, like working out, when I was there, in between like these conversations, in between these conversations, I'm literally becoming like so excited to come back and record a podcast. And honestly, I should have done it yesterday. But again, I'm really working on my procrastination because I had so many things that I wanted to share with you guys. Like, get out of your Christian bubble. Go do things by yourself. Talk to strangers. The world has taught us don't talk to strangers. And in the Christian world, we have totally grasped onto that. The world has taught us that it is not okay to be alone. And so we need to have a gym buddy. We need to have somebody to go with us to a restaurant. We need to have somebody to do literally any and everything with. Do you know that when you're with other people, you don't talk to people outside of that group? You're focused on the person that you're with. You're not sparking conversations with the waiter. You're not sparking conversations with the person at the checkout. You're not sparking conversations with anybody because you're with somebody constantly. Your attention is focused on them. Your conversation is focused on them so that you can eventually, and they can have curiosity enough to eventually know God for who he is for themselves. So do what I say and not what I do because it's easier said than done to say, like, be thankful for the season that God has you in, whether it's a season of loneliness, whether it's a season of, I don't know, whatever difficult circumstance that you're going through. Trust me, I got my own problems. Please don't be fooled by a colorful background, a smile on my face, and the fact that I'm in Mexico. Like, it's struggle over here too in many, many aspects of my life. But let those struggles and difficult times be reasons that you lean more on God, and realize also that those situations a lot of times are actually opportunities for you to reach other people and connect with other people. Do you think I want to be at the gym? No, I don't. Do I know that God has told me to go to the gym? Yes, I do. What's the purpose? I think it's for my health. I'm glad that it's going to benefit me for salsa. But realistically, what if God has me at this gym, in this country, in this place to somehow talk to this possibly Satanist every single day for however long that I'm here? I don't know. God's ways are not our ways, and his plans are not our plans. He works in mysterious ways. And I saw a video the other day that was like, when you obey God, you don't ever understand why until after the fact. And the fact of the matter is too, you might never know why God is telling you to do or do a certain thing or be in a certain place. Like, if I'm honest with you, though I'm honored and I'm ecstatic and I freaking love it here, I have no idea why I'm in Mexico right now. I have no actual idea. Matter of fact, I was reading in my journal. I write down like a lot of things that God is doing in my life because I have a horrible memory. And I was reading back through that and I'm like, oh my goodness, it is crazy because when I was here 3 weeks ago, I was writing, or when I was here for 3 weeks this summer and I didn't remember it. And I just read it actually today. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm literally writing that. I feel like God is calling me back to Mexico. And I feel like God is calling me back to Mexico to build connections and to build relationships through just like living, be it through social dance, whether it be through whatever. I mean, there's like a list of things. And when I first came back, I was like a little bit disappointed because I'm like, man, all the connections that I made last time, except for one, that's another crazy thing. The one connection that stuck with me is a friend that I met like one of the last days. She and I have maintained communication even when I wasn't here in Mexico. I messaged her when I was back, and oh my gosh, that was another freaking dream come true. Let me tell you, I have to tell you about that story. That was so cool. She invited me to the absolute coolest thing. She had never been to it either. We were both like in awe. It was amazing. And long story short, in that situation, she kind of was like, yeah, in my religion, we don't really celebrate, because it was for Day of the Dead. And she was like, yeah, in my religion, we don't really celebrate like death. And I was like, yeah, in mine either. I was like, oh, but what religion do you practice? Or like, what do you believe? And she was like, oh, I believe in, I do Santeria. Let me just tell you that God works in mysterious ways, because the same people that did actual Santeria, okay, it's a form of witchcraft. The people that did Santeria are the ones who did it and cast a spell, freaking witchcraft, to get me to literally go crazy and want to kill myself. And here, this girl that I met, I don't know how deep in, I don't know how long, I don't know what she knows. I didn't ask her. It wasn't appropriate time. Again, going back to, there is a time and a place. There is a season for everything. And there is a way to share your faith and a way to talk about it. And it's not always the right time to be shoving Jesus down somebody's throat. I'm sorry, I don't care what Christian agrees or disagrees with me. Think about Jesus, the woman at the well, the woman with the woman who they were trying to stone her. First, he stopped the situation. He didn't come in and be like, hey, I know you're trying to throw stones at this girl, but hey, do you know that I am who I say that I am? Do you know that you need to put your faith in me? Oh, okay. And now, by the way, stop the stones. No, there was a time and a place. It was after everything had subdued that he was like, know who I am and go and sin no more. And my friend, I don't know how much she knows about Santeria. I don't know how deep in it she is, but I can tell you that it's the same faith that tried to get me to not be here anymore. And so first, please pray for my friend, because we have been hanging out a bit. It's been little by little. I recognize too that a lot of the connections, and I realized this the last time that I was here, a lot of time I never shared Jesus so much as I did as when I was here the last time. This time I'm here for a bit of a longer period, and I feel like God is allowing me to make almost deeper connections. So like last time they were quicker connections, and I was spreading Jesus like I was planting grass seed. I mean, it was left and right. And this time it's been a little bit more of deeper connections and that slower grow. Matter of fact, when I asked her what her faith was, she didn't reciprocate the question and ask me what I believe. Did she see my necklace? I don't know. But again, necklace doesn't mean anything. A lot of people wear it just for style, but she didn't reciprocate the question. Does she know already? I'm not sure if she's seen my TikTok. I don't know. But later, her friend showed up, and I don't know how he started the conversation, but at some point he made like almost a derogatory comment of, what, are you, a Christian? And I was like, yeah, I am actually. And I was like, but I don't consider myself like a normal, typical Christian. I don't know what you know about Christianity, but I consider myself very different. I try to follow Jesus. It sounded like again, it wasn't the time or the place. And when I described to you that experience, like, you will understand why it wasn't the time or the place, but I got the impression that he had maybe had some bad experiences with Christianity or the church. I'm not really sure. Again, it wasn't the time or the place to ask, but it was a very negative vibe, which I didn't get my friend who practices Santeria. So, sorry, I have to get rid of the magic of the light a little bit because I have to charge my phone and I don't have an extra charger. So, still a party here, but I realized that everything is so very spiritual, because the last time that I was here, I was able to make like some deeper-ish connections. And as soon as God was brought up or something spiritual was brought up, or I got to share my testimony with someone, or I got to actually deeply share my faith with someone, I promise you that communication with that person stopped. And I mean, it was almost like an instant. And I started to feel this summer. That's why I say, like, God has taught me very quickly since October, like, number one, be yourself. And number two, God is the one doing the work. And number three, everything is spiritual, because those connections, there is no reason that they should have stopped so instantly. And the thing that they all have in common was that as soon as I share my faith, something would happen. Something would happen, whether it be a situation or a circumstance or just like communication or like some kind of conflict, whatever the case was, like, communication stopped. And so I no longer had the opportunity to share Jesus with that person. Like what is happening now with like the slowly steady get to know somebody kind of things, like those weren't happening anymore. It just like totally disappeared as soon as I mentioned God. And that was when I had the understanding this is very spiritual. So here I am now back in the same place with a connection of someone that I met on one of the last days that I was here the last time. We've maintained communication this whole time. We've hung out a few times. We actually have plans to hang out again this weekend. I'm so excited because we're going dancing. And she discloses that she's part of the same faith that tried to take me out. And the craziest part is that she's of the understanding that they don't celebrate death. How can you not celebrate death when the same belief system, the same practice is the same one that tried to literally get me to die? That's why I say, I don't know how deep in she is in it. I know that when I lived in Brazil, they have this thing called, I can't remember. There's 2 different kinds of like main forms of it's witchcraft. Anything that is not of God is of the enemy, is of the devil. But it was, I think macumba is like black magic. But there's another form of spirituality that they have in Brazil, and I'm blanking on it right now. But it's white magic. Okay, so they only do things to benefit either themselves or their family members or their loved ones. But they don't realize, obviously, that what they're doing is all demonic. But there is a point in time where the deeper you get into it, you eventually come out on the other side and start focusing on the black magic side of things. That's how it was in Brazil. I don't know a lot about Santeria, but I do know that when I got the limpia, did I tell you guys about that? Don't do that. Don't get a limpia. A limpia in Spanish means clean, a cleansing, a cleaning. I think I've already spoken about that, or maybe it was in another podcast. I don't know. I will go back if I didn't already, but just know I basically participated in a form of witchcraft. Was it knowingly? Yes, because I knew it wasn't of God. Was it unknowingly? Also yes, because I didn't necessarily fully 100% give my consent. Did it work? Honestly, yeah, temporarily it did actually work. And then everything started up again. And when it started up again, it was worse. And until I called on God, that was when I really noticed a difference. And that is how I know that one of the many reasons that I know that God is the one true God, the total ultimate power and authority, because he has the power over all of other principalities and powers and evil spirits and demonic works and witchcraft and sorcery. I mean, it sounds like you're talking about something out of a movie, but it's real. Ugh, that's one thing that really frustrates me about the Christian population, but we're not going to go into that. The U.S. Christian population, I will say. But that when I did that limpia, I got a text message from someone in another country that I've never met, that never heard my story, that didn't know what I was going through exactly. They received a picture of my face, my date of birth, and my full name. And they gave me a report back, a text message, full page, like a full screen worth of text message talking about how, like describing to a T, people that I immediately knew who it was. There was 2 groups of people that the one of them was from this country, looked like this, practiced Santeria, and did a spell on me so that I would eventually go crazy, lose my mind, and think everyone was against me and want to kill myself. And ironically, their plan totally backfired, because in that moment that I did want to kill myself, because it worked. It worked. This is me proclaiming to be a Christian my entire life, knowing all the things that I know. I've said 100 times. I have a degree in Bible studies. I went to Christian college. I went to the mission field. I was a poster child for Christianity at one point. And you're telling me that this witchcraft worked? It's because I was practicing my faith in word and deed, but it was not a connection in my heart. I did not have a relationship with God. And when I say that, I thought that I did. I thought that I was going to go to heaven. I did. And it literally, it's been 2 years. And I'm telling you right now from personal experience that so many people in the church, so many people in the Christian faith think that they're going to heaven, think that they have a relationship with God. But I'm telling you right now, It is a lot more serious than we make it out to be. God is a God of love, and he's a God of mercy, and he forgives all, and he loves all. But God is not joking around. I'm trying to stay on focus right now. But in that text message, that very long text message, they described to me that she was practicing Santeria, that it was Santeria. It's a form of witchcraft. And my friend, the one connection that I have since, the one connection that stayed from the last time I was here until now, is someone that is practicing something that literally tried to take me out. Is this a mission field? You tell me. Man, God has really been putting on my heart too. Like, I don't know if I'm supposed to say, like, it really gets on my nerves when people say, like, oh, if you feel led to sow into this ministry, here's my Cash App, here's my Venmo, here's my PayPal, here's whatever. I don't know. I don't like it. And maybe it's my pride, because honest to goodness, I have felt for like months and different situations where I felt like I kind of need to say it out loud on the internet, but I don't want to do that. And why I don't want to do that, I'm not really sure, because as a missionary, I had absolutely no problem raising support and going church to church and talking about my needs. And I need this amount of money to live and survive and all of these things. And here I am, unemployed in the middle of Mexico, and I feel like I'm a missionary. I know that from the outside looking in, it looks like I'm just going to the gym and recording podcasts and salsa dancing. And to be honest, that is what I'm doing. But at every one of those events, every single time I go salsa dancing, I make a connection where I can share Jesus with someone. Whether it's a longer term connection or whether it's a quick, like, hey, you tell me this crazy story and I tell you how I went through something similar, but how God got me out of it, or how my faith has changed my life, or how Jesus is real, or I don't know. Like, it's literally a mission field here, and I don't know how to describe it. And I really struggle, because I'm like, God, you supply all my needs. And he has been. And I've seen that so faithfully in ways that I cannot describe to you. Things that don't make any logical sense of how I'm getting like what I need. I remember the one that I will never take it out of my mind was I needed to change the transmission in my car. And I got a check in the mail for like the exact amount of what my transmission was going to cost. So I know that God provides in miraculous ways, but also I know that it's the responsibility of the church to further his word for the people who are going and doing and obeying what God has sent them to do. So yeah, you could pray for me for that. Because I mentioned before, like, it's not cheap here. It's not cheap. I'm getting the gringo markup. And apart from that, Mexico City in itself is not cheap and affordable. Maybe if you're like in the middle of a remote little town, like, of course you could eat for like a few pesos a day and your housing wouldn't be expensive, but it's extremely expensive here. It's, in my opinion, it's more expensive than at home, except for the comida corrida. Like, that is what is up and delicious. Okay, let me go back to my notes. I didn't even really know how I got onto that, except for to say that get out of your comfort zone, get out of your bubble. You don't have to come to a totally another country, but I do think that Christians, we're really failing at making connections with people, at getting to know people. We're turning people away before we even give them a chance to connect with us. We're turning people away and we're pushing people away by trying to shove our beliefs down someone else's throat. And honestly, you have to think about it from their perspective. How many times do people... be so freaking for real with yourself. If it was a Muslim that was like shoving their religion down your throat, which, let's be real, times are getting, and it's about to be, especially in the United States of America, that is about to be a thing where we're going to have to choose if we're going to convert to Islam or not. How does that make you feel? You don't like it. You don't want it. There's no way in heck that you would take that or accept that. So why do we expect that somebody else from another faith, from another religion, from another belief that is totally opposite from us, that is blinded by the enemy, that they think that what they're doing is good, that they think that what they're doing doesn't have to do with, like my friend, doesn't have to do with death. There are few people If my trainer is a Satanist, he is few and far between of the people who are outwardly and openly worshiping Satan, because the enemy masquerades as an angel of light. People don't know, people don't recognize that what they're doing is wrong. What they're doing is on a path to destruction. They think that they're doing what's right. So we have to really learn to be patient with people and kind with people and compassionate with people. And guess what? If people tell us that they believe something that is totally opposite of what we believe, like Santeria or freaking Satanism, I mean, let's be real. The God that's worshiping Satan, if that's the case, he knows good and well what he's doing. He's doing it on purpose. But do you think that me coming in and saying to him, like, oh, you're such a sinner and you're going to die and go to hell, like, he probably wants to go to hell. He is deceived. And we are the light of the world. We're supposed to illuminate a place of darkness. We're not supposed to just set the whole thing on fire. Okay, take it or leave it, Jesus or not. It's gonna come to a point of that. Trust me. But right now is not the time. Right now we need to really get out of our bubble, get out of your Christian bubble, and honest to goodness, go find a hobby by yourself. Go find a hobby by yourself. Don't take a friend with you. Go to the same restaurant every Wednesday. Make conversation with your waitress. Grow a friendship with her, even if it's small talk, even if it's just between bringing you your food and bringing you your coffee and bringing you your check. If you do that every week, every Wednesday at the same time, make that your mission field. We are not working for the Lord nearly as much as we should be. And that's another beautiful thing. Like, God is reminding me right now, like, he showed me a long time ago, the verse, you don't work, you don't eat. That has nothing to do with working. That has nothing to do with going to your 9 to 5. That has nothing to do with starting your own business. That has nothing to do with any of that. Of course, if God has called you to do the things, of course, if that's part of your life, then you should be doing that. And if you're being lazy and you're not doing it, you're not going to eat. You're not going to have any money. But ultimately, like, are you working for the kingdom of God? If Jesus is the bread of life, if you're working for him, he is going to provide for you every one of your needs. That includes your food. That includes your housing. We're so busy focused on every other little thing in this life. Even, honest to goodness, I don't know how some of you guys do it with families, but like, don't prioritize your family over God, your kids over God, your hobbies over God, your friends over God. And it's easy to say, oh, I don't do that. Are you making connections with people in a natural and a real way that you can work for God and share Jesus with them eventually? Back to my notes. My trainer isn't mad. He wasn't going to be mad at me. He's very chill. I don't want to give anybody the wrong impression about anybody. He's not like this angry guy. He's a very kind guy. And honestly, pray for me, because if he is a Satanist, I am walking into enemy territory every single day. And don't be afraid to open up to people about what you're going through. That's another thing that I've really been struggling with, because I know that I have people that watch this TikTok and Instagram, my podcast, that I know that they want me dead. I know that they wish me harm. I know that they want to see me fail. And so honestly, the last time that I was here in Mexico, I really felt like God was pushing me to post just like lifestyle. How is God going to use that? I don't freaking know. How am I going to just like review tacos and God use that? I don't know. But there are many more aspects to who God made me to be than only my faith. And I think that through your personality traits, through your lifestyle, through the things that you like, God uses those to connect you with people who otherwise wouldn't want a relationship with you, because they don't only want to hear about God. They don't have a faith in God. But if they realize that there's more to you, like salsa dancing and tacos, and you can vibe on those things, and you just also happen to be a Christian, you can grow, you can make connections and friendships with those people. God is going to use your identity, your likes. The things that you like are not the same things that I like. The place that I described to you in the last podcast is probably not a place that you would want to go, maybe. That's okay. I'm going there. Leave that assignment to me. I am totally down. I will go to all of them. I love it so much. I will make that my mission field. That's mine. But for you, who maybe you like to do, I don't know. What do people like to do? I have a friend. Friend. She's probably listening. I met her through TikTok. She has like a whole chicken coop situation going on. Like Henny Penny, this chicken rooster, I don't know, showed up at her house one day and it never left. And now she has like a whole chicken coop and other chickens. I need to check in and see how they're doing because I think she bought like babies and they're probably grown now. She's like getting eggs and everything. But that in itself is a community. Like the people who raise chickens is a community. Like how can you use your talents and hobbies and likes to find community and in that community be a light? Right now my community is salsa, tacos, and apparently the gym. That's my community. That's where I'm going to share Jesus. And I'm not going to blast Jesus unless it's a moment where God tells me to. I'm going to slowly and surely, slowly but surely grow to know people. People are so deep. People have reasons that they don't believe in God. They have reasons that they don't go to church. They have reasons for why they believe what they believe. We spend so much time like telling, but we don't take a minute and ask people like, why do you believe what you believe? We want to talk about what we believe. We want to talk about how God changed us, but we don't take the time to listen. God gave us 2 ears and a mouth for a reason. Maybe we should be listening to other people and relating to people more before we're speaking. Think about Jesus on the cross. He was silent. He was silent. He could have set every one of them straight in an instant, but he didn't. Through his life, through his resurrection, he showed every single one of them that mocked him and beat him and were mean to him. He showed every single one of them exactly who he was. And through our lives, we can do the same. Anywho, I didn't finish all my notes. I know I left couple stories in here. The next podcast, I'm going to go back through. I'm going to eventually get to all of it. But I'm tired. I have low energy. I do need to go to the gym. It's 5:00. I normally go at 3. I did want to hop on and do another podcast because I'm really, really trying to be faithful in little so that God can trust me to be faithful in much. And I'm really trying to stop procrastinating and avoiding the things that I don't want to do because I know that eventually God is going to have me doing the things that I really cannot wait and love to do. Anywho, if you don't know how to have a relationship with Jesus, you can go to my TikTok. It's the same handle. Watch my pin video in the peach shirt. And yeah, just be you, unapologetically you, because the talents and the gifts and the communities that you're in, God gave those to you for a reason. Just use them 100% for his glory, however he wants you to do it. Don't force anything. Don't push anybody. Just let things flow naturally. Let God speak to you and pray. That was one thing that I don't think I finished, but let me go back and say that. Before I leave my house, a lot of times I will say, like, God, let me speak to the people that you want me to speak to. And when you put me in those people's path, give me the words that you want me to say. And I can tell you that every time that I do it, God puts somebody in my path. And every time that I do it, I either have an opportunity to share Jesus, or I have an opportunity to talk about my own personal circumstances, or it blossoms into like a longer friendship. So yeah, anywho, trust him and walk with him. He's a true living God, and he made you who he made you to be for a reason. The same people that you're going to reach are not the same people that I'm going to reach. Your personality is different than mine. He's using us all. And you know, the Bible says too, how can they hear without a preacher? We're not preachers, but if we're not speaking, if we're not talking, if we're not saying about the goodness of God in our own lives, if people cannot see us because we're hidden at home all the time, if people cannot see us because everything that we do is revolved around church and small groups and youth activities and this outreach, and everything is just so connected to church and our Christian friends, and you're always with somebody else, you never have an opportunity to be intentional about building new relationships and making new connections so that God can use that for his purpose. Anywho, come back for more. Jesus loves you.